Hello, crystal babies and gems. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I have something special planned for us. I wanted to take a deep dive into my own personal journal because when it comes down to it, all of us are on a healing journey, whether we want to really dive into that or not. But today I have some very valuable information that has helped me along my path that I want to share with you now. And it's about our blockages. It's about a blockage specifically that most codependent and empathic people tend to have, and that's people pleasing. People pleasing can be very detrimental to our health, our well-being, our spirituality, and being in alignment with our highest self, because a lot of times people pleasing, it puts us in a paradigm where we're having to put other people's opinions about our own life before our own opinions, and that can be very dangerous to our health and overall happiness. So today I want to get into some of the different things that I have highlighted from my personal journal that helps us to take a deeper look at why this is not beneficial for us, why this is actually stunting our spiritual growth, and what we can do just by realizing that we are people pleasing and putting others before ourselves. Generally, people pleasing comes from the fear of lack, fear of being judged for who we truly are, and it stops us from living in our truth. And that ultimately stops us from being happy, because as you'll see as I read on, there's nothing in the world that can make you more unhappy than putting other people's opinions before yourself and putting out energy to help others before you actually help yourself. You cannot go and water someone else's garden and leave yours to die. And so that's what we're kind of tuning into today. And so I'm just going to go ahead and start reading from my journal so that you can kind of get a look into my brain and how I work through my dark shadows. Putting other people's opinions of me before my own opinion of myself is detrimental to my truth, my self-worth, and is affecting all areas of how I navigate through life. For instance, doing certain things or living in a certain way as to please someone else has a direct effect on my own happiness and the things that I want in my life. A lot of times we don't end up aspiring to that which we want to be in tune and aligned with because somebody else said we can't do it. And that's just not the truth. If you have a desire, God wouldn't have put a desire in your heart without giving you everything that you need in order to fulfill it. It doesn't mean that it's for them. Whatever you want to do is for you. So that's the importance and the grit of where we're getting in this conversation. And as I write, I go on to say, no one has to live my life except for me. So why in the hell would I ever let someone else dictate how I live my life? Because I am the only one who knows what I truly want and how I can get it. And then I go on to explain how not speaking my truth and not living in my truth really only hurts me and is to my detriment, not to the other people. They don't have to live your life, so what do they care, right? Your desires are not everyone else's desires. We're all different. We're all different in the different algorithms of the universe, and that's what makes us so beautiful, is that little bit of difference is that oomph that you need in order to get through life and to fulfill your desires and truly be happy. So I go on to say, it's actually safer, and that is the part right there. It's safer for you to live in your truth than to be dictated and to people please your way through life, because helping other people or constantly extending your energy to others can be very detrimental to your own self-worth and your life path, because you're not actually living in your truth and doing the things that you need to do in order to be happy. It's safer for me to speak my truth because when I'm not honest, then it stops me from experiencing what I really want. And that's the key. The danger here is when we're not speaking our truth or living in our truth, then we're living for others. We're living to please others. And that's very dangerous, not only for our health, our spirituality, but just for our overall happiness. If you're constantly giving and extending your energy to other people, you're never actually filling your own cup. And how can you be giving from an empty cup? So I go on to talk about how my desires will always be there, but if I'm not fulfilling them, then I'm filling someone else's desires, I'm filling someone else's cup. But I can't actually be there for anyone if I'm not doing the same for me first. And I realize all of my desires are available to me when I demand them, because I ultimately hold the power. We need to recognize that we hold the power to our own happiness. It doesn't come from outside of us. It doesn't come from another person. You're not going to fall in love with that one person that just gives you all of the spiritual abundance and happiness. That comes from within. That's how you actually attract those people to you. And so you actually hold the power for everything that you want to experience, but you have to demand that, and you have to take control over your life and the things that you want to experience. We have to start understanding that it is safe to be ourselves. It is actually safer to be ourselves, and I'll get into why. It is safe for me to put my wants and needs first. In fact, it's the only way that I can get what I want without hurting anyone. This is key because it helps me realize that people pleasing gives people false representation of who I really am, and I will ultimately disappoint them because that wasn't the truth of who I really am. See, when we people please, we are actually giving people a false representation of who we really are. That's dangerous, because now you've set up this paradigm and relationship of being a certain way and a certain person that you aren't. You are not like that. That is not your truth. And this stems from childhood. This stems, for most people, stems from childhood trauma. And what that means is that at one point in time in our lives, probably through our parents, we were told, don't do that or don't be that way, because otherwise we wouldn't receive love from them. And so we go into survival mode. We choose to people please in order to get that validation, that love that we really do need. We need love, but first we have to understand, in order for people to love us, we actually have to be ourselves. And that's difficult with this spiritual journey. But I promise you that if you start standing in your truth and being who you truly are unapologetically, that is when you will start to attract that which actually aligns with you vibrationally. So it is more fulfilling and actually safer for us to speak our truth. And a lot of us, this is carried in the throat chakra, where we have all these blockages that we feel like we can't speak our truth. This is very important because this stops us from having the relationships that we want in life, because we're setting up this paradigm that really sets us up for failure, because we think, oh, I have to be this certain way in order to get this kind of relationship. Well, that's not true. The relationship that you want, you will attract to yourself by being yourself, because it won't put you in the paradigm where you have to be someone else. It's literally that simple. Another very important aspect to realize about this is that not speaking your truth stops you from actually getting what it is that you want. You're going to be more in alignment with what you want if you're truthful and speak up and set standards for what you really want and what you desire. Be the creator of your life. Set standards for your relationships with people. Set boundaries with people. That is where your power lies, because if you're not going to allow somebody to hurt you, that is where your power lies. A lot of times when we're people pleasing, we stop ourselves from speaking our truth. And that is the number one way that we stop ourselves from giving ourselves what we ultimately desire and what we want in what we need. No one knows what your needs are unless you express them and demand them. And I love the way that I wrote this here. When you don't set the standard or speak up for your desires, then you're forfeiting your needs and settling for less, thus causing yourself unhappiness in the long run. We often do this in exchange for perceived love and validation. And so in order to move out of that, we need to start setting boundaries and standards for what we accept in relationships. And this can be any type of relationship, not just a romantic relationship, relationships with our siblings, our parents, any kind of family member, or even bosses. If somebody's talking down to you and you don't stand up for yourself and say, hey, that is unacceptable, that is where I draw the line, then who's gonna do it for you, right? You're just people pleasing in order to get what you think you want, which is not what you want. What you really want and desire is respect at the end of the day. You know, you're your own person and you have the power, the self-power to embody that which you desire. But it starts with you. It starts with you standing up for yourself, creating boundaries and standards. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone should have standards. And something about this world, and like I said, with validating, feeling validated is what really keeps us from experiencing that and having the power in order to move past those people-pleasing barriers and blockages. And so I hope this video helped you to take back your power and to realize that you are the creator of your own reality and that you hold the power. You have the keys. Just do it. Stand up for yourself, create those boundaries, and set those standards for people, because no one else is going to do it for you. They're just going to walk all over you. But we don't want that, right? We're growing spiritually and physically. We want to actually enjoy the life that we have. But in order to enjoy it, we have to move past the people pleasing and the codependency. Again, thank you so much for joining me. I am the Crystal Babe. I'm sorry about all the wind. I hope you guys can hear me all right. Thank you so much. Love and light to you all. Namaste.